Every time you hop in your car, you're placing your trust in thousands of different parts, all working together perfectly. But how is that trust actually built? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible, super detailed systems that car makers use to make sure every single component is as safe and reliable as it can be. Let's get into it. Just let that number sink in for a second. 30,000 parts. And they often come from hundreds of different suppliers located all over the globe. The scale of this challenge is just huge. A tiny single flaw in one little part could lead to some really massive consequences. So how on earth do you manage all that complexity? Well, the solution isn't some kind of magic wand. It's a system, a really meticulous, demanding, and totally non-negotiable set of rules that governs every single step of the process. Think of it like a shared language of quality, one that connects the automaker to its entire supply chain and makes sure everybody is reading from the exact same playbook. So, to make this all feel a bit more real, we're going to dive into the official rulebook from a global giant, Renault Group. These are what they call their customer-specific requirements, and they're built on top of the big global auto standard known as IATF 16949. This document right here is what any company that wants to supply a part for a Renault has to live and breathe by. Okay, so before you can even think about making a single part, you have to agree to some fundamental principles. These are the absolute cornerstones, the bedrock of the relationship between a supplier and Renault. Without these, honestly, nothing else matters. So, first things first, and this is the big one, absolute non-negotiable safety. A supplier has to be able to prove, and I mean prove, that every part meets all the safety and regulatory rules for every single country where that car is going to be sold. It's not good enough to just say it's safe. You gotta have the data, the tests, the docs to back it up anytime they ask. But see, for Renault, quality isn't just about the part itself. Nope, it goes way beyond that, into how a company actually behaves. The second pillar is all about ethical operations and social responsibility. You could make the most perfect part in the world, but if your company doesn't operate ethically, you're not getting in the door. And we're not talking about some vague, feel-good statement on a website. These requirements are specific. They cover everything from basic human rights, like no child labor, to safe working conditions and protecting the environment. Renault demands real proof of this stuff, whether it's through official certifications or by formally signing on to their own social responsibility guidelines. And the third pillar is all about being under a microscope, constantly. You see, you don't just pass one test and then you're good to go forever. Suppliers are continuously evaluated through these intense audits that just dig deep into their quality management systems to make sure they're running like a well-oiled machine day in and day out. And one of their main tools for this is something called the ACEs audit. Think of it like a final exam for suppliers. You get a grade, and the passing mark is a C. If you get a D, well, you will not get any new business. Full stop. The only way to come back from that is with a massive top-down overhaul to fix whatever the deep-rooted problem is. All right, so a supplier agrees to all the big core principles. Now what? How do you actually do it? This next part is all about the specific people and processes you need to turn those principles into perfectly made parts. Let's see how they build that system. Renault makes it crystal clear. There can't be any confusion about who's in charge of quality. Every single supplier has to appoint one person, a designated expert, who is the single point of contact and holds the ultimate responsibility for quality in their company. And this role has a specific name, the SCQR, or Supplier Customer Quality Representative. This person needs to have real authority, real teeth, to roll out Renault's quality plan across their whole organization. They are the guardian of quality, making sure that Renault's rulebook is followed to the absolute letter. And yeah, this is not a read the manual once and you're done kind of situation. The SCQR, and really anyone on their team who deals with Renault, has to go through mandatory official training on Renault's procedures every 2 years. It's the only way to make sure everyone is always current on the latest standards and tools. So what are they all getting trained on? This right here, the RGPQP. This is Renault's super detailed roadmap for quality. It covers the whole shebang, from the first design idea all the way through to mass production. It's the master plan that guarantees every project is managed with the same intense level of rigor. Okay, so you've got the rules, you've got the people in place, but how does Renault actually know if it's all working? Well, they keep score, constantly. Let's take a look at the report card that every single supplier gets. And this is what it looks like. This is the Renault Supplier Score Card, the RSSC. It's basically a dashboard that tracks a supplier's performance in real time. There's literally nowhere to hide from the data. It's all right here, broken down by key performance areas. Now, here's what's really fascinating. Look at how they weigh these things. Sure, they track performance during the project and defects right off the assembly line. But look at that top item. Warranty performance makes up a whopping 45% of the total score. That means how the part holds up after the car is sold, when you're actually driving it, is the single most important measure of quality. It's all about long-term reliability.
And the rating system? It's super straightforward. It goes from L1, which is excellent, all the way down to L4, which is critical. The color coding makes it dead simple to understand. Green is good, red is, well, red is very, very bad.
And you better believe that hitting that yellow L3 or red L4 territory sets off all the alarms. A supplier in that zone gets put on special status. And this isn't just some warning letter. It actually triggers mandatory reviews and forces the supplier to call in their own external auditors to help figure out and fix the root cause of the failure. Look, in a system this complex, even with all these rules, things can still go wrong. So what happens when a supplier messes up or a part fails? Well, the response is just as systematic and demanding as all the prevention work. Okay, listen to this term because it is so powerful. If a supplier changes anything, the product, how it's made, even where it's made, without getting the green light from Renault first, it's not just called a mistake. They classify it as a trust disruption. And that name says it all. The entire system is built on trust, and breaking that trust is pretty much the most serious offense you can commit. When a big problem does happen, the supplier has to follow this formal 5-step process to fix it. And notice, this isn't about just fixing the one bad part. It's about finding the deep, systemic failure in their quality system that let it happen in the first place. They have to hunt for similar potential failures everywhere else and prove, with cold, hard data, that the root cause is gone for good. It's all about making sure it never, ever happens again. So after seeing all of this incredibly detailed, rigorous, and demanding system, I have one final question for you. Does getting this peek behind the curtain change how you think about that invisible web of rules and responsibilities that really underpins the trust you put in the complex products you rely on every single day?